It's my pleasure to introduce Chris and Jim Guld, geeks on tour that love to teach. Chris and Jim lived and worked and played, scuba diving mostly, in Fort Lauderdale, Florida for many years. They always had a someday dream of becoming vagabonds in a motorhome and have been living, working in their motorhome full time since July of 2003. And they've been on the road again since April of 2004. Their area of focuses are seminars at rallies, RV parks, and computer clubs, video tutorials and books online and on CDs, and writing articles on computers and travels. They offer APCUG group members 20% off their premium membership, where you can access all the videos and tutorials, access their Q&A form, and show notes for what does this button do. Chris is a Google product expert. Her Learn Google Photos was released in September of 2020 and just updated in July of this year to reflect the changes that have taken place in 2021. Today, their tutorial is making your own travel maps with Google Maps. There are many mapping programs, but Chris and Jim use Google Maps, and this presentation will show you how easy it is to put a map together before you travel. I'll now turn things over to Chris and Jim.
Hi. All right. Thanks so much, John. This is great. I'm Jim.
I'm Chris.
And we're Geeks on Tour. And do you think your smartphone is smarter than you? And do you have questions about this technology? How do you learn?
We are geeks who teach, and we love doing this. We want to thank Judy Taylor and John Kennedy for inviting us and making this happen. And today we are going to talk about maps. Now, it's actually Google MyMaps, and hopefully that's a distinction that you will understand by the end of this. Making your own maps with Google's MyMaps.
Okay.
And we are here for APCUG. We've done a few of these virtual technology conferences, and like I say, we appreciate being invited, and we love to support the computer clubs.
Okay, we are technology geeks, and we are not the Geek Squad. I will not fix your computer. And we are travelers, and we are teachers. Actually, Chris is the real teacher. I'm the real geek.
He's the real geek.
I speak geek, and she translates for you.
And those maps that you saw there are an example of what we'll show you how to do today. One thing I want to make sure you know, and I do want to show you this, all of our class materials will be available for you in addition to the PDF that is going to be on the APCUG site. You can go to our website and classes, and let me show you that. Our website is geeksontour.com. And just right on the home page, as you scroll down, you will see a button for classes. And whenever we give a class, be it a live event or online, we list it here. So August 21, APCUG, map making with Google My Maps class materials. If you click on that, you'll see there's just a two-page printed handout if you want to print that. And then the actual slideshow, I mean, this is the slideshow that we're going through. You can go through it again later if you want to remember something. And last but definitely not least, there's a playlist of all our videos related to this topic. Lots more than we're covering in this hour. So if you're interested in learning more about MyMaps, go to geeksontour.com, classes, and find the link to class materials for today's seminar. So, Google Maps versus Google My Maps. What am I talking about? You've probably all been to Google Maps on the web. So just Google Maps, that's the icon. And on the web browser, you go to maps.google.com or google.com/maps. You see a map, the entire world is there. On your phones, you can have the Google Maps app, same thing. The entire world is there and all the information. You can look up information and get info. You can also get directions using Google Maps, but you can't create your own map and save it. For that, you need Google MyMaps. This is a place to make and keep files of your custom maps. So this is what mine looks like. When you go to Google My Maps on a computer, on a web browser, you will see all the maps you've made, and they stay there forever. It's part of your Google account storage. And this is what we're going to be doing. Now, there is an app on MyMaps on Android. There is a MyMaps app, but it's just not very good. So I strongly recommend creating maps using a computer and the web browser. I want to show you what we do with Google My Maps, and for that I'm going to take you to our blog. You can get there from geeksontour.com. Blogs and news, Chris and Jim's travel blog. That's what we're looking for. And you may be familiar with blogs, you know, lots of blogs out there. I have photos and stories from each time, but I also have this whole page called Our Maps. And this is where I make a map of every year we've been on the road. So I can so easily say, gee, when was the last time we were in Oregon? I could just scroll through my maps and I can see, looks like it was 2014 was the last time we were in Oregon. Boy, we need to go back there.
I guess we do.
But then there's more. I just want to show you a little bit. This is looking at a map, and it's interactive. So each marker on the map is clickable, and when I click on it, I see pictures. So that's what I'm going to be showing you how to do today, how to make those maps and work with them, add pictures, add lines, stuff like that. So that's our travel maps. So for how do you do this then? How you do this is by going to Google My Maps and make a map. You add markers, you can set the icons, and we have a video here that goes through all the details of how to do it.
Hi, this is Chris Guld with Geeks on Tour, and this tutorial video is about making your own map. When you're researching places to go and places where you can stay nearby, do you use a lot of maps like we do? I use Google Maps, Our Village, All Stays, RV Parky, and Road Trippers. I want to collect my information all in one map. So in Google Maps, I have saved the club locations where we are booked to speak. We're in Chicago area right now, and here are the 2 places that we need to be this week. All Stays is my go-to site for finding county parks and other good overnight parking for RVs, but on this map I can't see where our gigs are. Our Village is great for looking up Elks Lodges. We like parking at Elks Lodges as we travel. So my solution is to make my own map where I can put everything in. I use Google My Maps. I can make the markers custom, set the colors, and save my map. Let me show you how. Step 1 is to go to mymaps.google.com and make sure you are logged in with your account. If you've ever made any other maps, you will see them here. We're going to create a new map. It's good to give your map a title right away. First, I want to put in the places that we need to be, and I know that the first one is Glenside Public Library. I can search for it using Google My Maps. It will find it, and I could just add this marker to map, but I don't want to mark the Glenside Public Library. I want a marker that says the name of the computer club we'll be visiting. So I click on Add a Marker. I click right on the public library and then give it a name. And I save that marker. Now I can search for the next place. Naperville City Hall. Add my own marker and give it a name. Now, I don't like that it just has this blue teardrop standard marker. I want it to stand out more. So over here in the left side panel, I can click the little paint can. I can make that be, I think I want it just to be a black marker. And I can choose an icon from the list here. I want it to look like a meeting. I'm going to choose these 3 stars and OK. And I want this other one to look the same. Next, I want to add the campgrounds that I found that look like possibilities. I can search for the name of the campground that I found. In this case, I can just add the Google marker. I want the website and the phone number, so I'll just click Add to Map. But now look over here on the left. That campground has been added to the same layer as our gigs, and it's really a different layer. I'll show you. Instead of Untitled, I'm going to call this layer Gigs. Now I want a new layer for places to stay. Add layer, places to stay. Now this Blackwell family campground really belongs in this other layer. I can drag that down. It's a little bit tricky. You got to make sure to get a hold of it, and then you can drag it down to the other layer. And let me change that icon so it looks like a campground. We'll make it green and a tent. Now let's add an Elks Lodge. I can search for Elks Lodge 2254, which is what I found in my other map. But this is another case where I don't want to use the marker that came from Google. I don't want the details from Google. I want to put my own details. So add a marker, click here, give it a name, and I can add notes and even a link from the source that I got the information on this Elks Lodge. I want a custom icon for that. So I click the little paint bucket, and I'm going to make this one purple, and I want an icon that maybe looks like an elk. How about a deer? Close enough. Now, in one glance, I'm just zooming out by using my scroll wheel. In one glance, I can see where we need to be, where the campground is, and where the Elks Lodge is. And now it's clear that this campground is the closest place to go. 2 more things to show you about Google My Maps. One is that you can change the underlying map, the base map. See how it's still kind of hard to see my markers on here because of the way this map is. If I click on base map, I can choose a lighter, simpler base map so that my markers really stand out. The second thing to show you is, why did I insist on having 2 layers? Well, sometimes I just want to see where we need to be, not about our choices of where to stay. You just uncheck the box for 1 layer and it disappears. Check it or uncheck it to make it appear or disappear. Very handy, especially when you end up with lots of markers. And that's how you make your own map using MyMaps. From now on, any map you've created will be in mymaps.google.com as long as you're logged into your account. There's the map that I just made.
All right. Very good.
I wonder if anybody watching this is from either of those Chicago clubs, because I made that demonstration for when we went to visit the Chicago APCUG clubs. And I'll be showing you a lot more of that also.
All right.
And wondering, I am curious if anybody in the audience has made a map. If you want to use the chat and just say you have used it, or you'd never heard of it before.
All you need is a Google account to do this.
That's it. Just a Google account. It's free. It's 100% free and unlimited for making maps.
Okay.
All right. So now I want to give you a little bit of a live demo. And yes, I see lots of questions coming in. We will have time for questions, and a lot of these will be answered in my demonstration. So now I'm on a computer web browser. You know, Google Chrome is probably the best one to use because all of this is Google. And I'm back to showing you our maps because I want to show you that it was in 2019 that we did a lot of APCUG clubs as we traveled around, and we called it our summer teaching tour or our back to school tour. So here is the whole map of our 2019 back to school tour, and notice that the stops have numbers. So I use this map for memory purposes. I mean, we did plan them out. At the beginning of the summer, I posted what the stops that I planned to make. Then as the summer progresses, I will add details to the stops we actually made, and I will add the new stops that we didn't plan, and I will add details. So for example, if I scroll in here in Ohio, John Kennedy helped us make arrangements to stop at several clubs in Ohio back in 2019. So here's number 8. I click on it, and you see photo. That was the Canton users group. I can click on the photo and make it bigger. I can click on the next one. Number 9 was the Columbus group. Number 10 was the Newark group, and number 11 was the Dayton group. And you can have more than one photo, but all those examples didn't. Now I come up here to Chicago, and number 12 was the CAEUG group, and there are no photos. I want to show you how to add a photo. So right now I'm in an incognito window. I am looking at this map as if I were one of you, not the owner of the map. So I'm going to go back to my main screen, and all you do is go to mymaps.google.com. mymaps.google.com. and make sure you are signed in to your Google account. That's all you need. These are stored actually in your Google Drive, and you can get your pictures from your Google Photos. They all work together. So I want to find that map from 2019. There, 2019 Back to School Tour. And I will open it. Now I'm in edit mode. I'm not just viewing it, I'm in edit mode. I see the map in the middle. I see the legend, all the different stops over here. So I want to go to that CAEUG number 12 and add a photo. Notice a dialog box pops out for stop number 12. And it says that that is in Glendale Heights, and there is a link to the Computer Club's website. I want to add a photo. There's a little camera button. Now, where is my photo? If my photo was on the computer, I would click on upload. But no, my photos are in my Google Photos, and that's what this button is for. Your Photos means your Google Photos. So your photos. And I made an album for 2019 September. I can open that album and find the photos from that club presentation. And I was just reviewing this, so I know that this photo was taken at the CAEUG club. We had a great time. So that adds that photo to that marker. I can add another photo. Just click the little plus. Same procedure. Your photos. Find the album and find the photo. And this one right here. All right. So now when you go to that map, if you go to our maps from our blog and you click on this map, you will see photos in that spot. Cool. The other things that you can do is lines. So notice these lines here. And we will have a little one of our little inset videos on that in just a minute. You have your choice between making just a straight line or doing lines along routes. But as you'll see, the lines along routes have limitations. So I really don't usually use that. Once again, I use maps for memory purposes. You can't navigate, so this is not a good tool for planning a specific route. This is a great tool for remembering where you went and what you did. And I might even just turn that line off by clicking on the layer over on the left-hand side, and notice that line completely goes away. Since I numbered my stops, I don't really need the line. All right, let's see if there's some questions here that I can deal with while I'm on the demo. Shall I leave all the questions till the end, John? I guess I can do that,
Yeah, since you see what I see, Jim can handle them. We'll get the end, answer what you want to do and save for later what you don't want to do.
Okay. Never saved them. This is very informative. Used maps. Okay. How do you create the pathway between markers, and how do you create the call-out balloons? So those call-out balloons are the markers. That's just how the markers work. When you click on them, they open up. And If you're in edit mode, that's when you add things to the marker. When you're just in view mode, you see what has been added to the marker. Will it work for overseas locations? Absolutely. I mean, the reason why that 2019 late summer tour was not the whole year is because we went to New Zealand in the beginning of 2019, and I have a separate map for that. Okay, let's go back to the slides. So here we go. What about, everybody asks, what about lines? And as I say, I just, for memory's sake, I really don't worry about the lines. But if you really want them, this is two examples. The map on the left is showing a straight line. And notice that I just have one green one and one orange one. One is westbound and the other one is eastbound. So it just gives the general lay of our travels. Whereas the one on the right is specific lines along roads. Remember, once again, you cannot use this to navigate. So anyway, here's another little video.
Hi, this is Chris Guld with Geeks on Tour, and in this lesson I want to show you how to draw lines on your custom MyMaps in Google Maps. So here we have a map of just a bunch of places that I would like to go, and I want to draw lines. So there's this tool right here is the Draw a Line tool. Click on it and you see you have options to just draw a line or a shape, or a driving route, biking route, or walking route. Let's choose driving route. And what you'll see is it opens up another layer over on the left-hand panel here for a driving route. Click on the map to start tracing your route. So we'll start in San Antonio and go to Houston. And it puts that in over at the left. But now when I try to click on a third thing, it doesn't add it to the route. But I can click Add Destination and then Add to the route. Now I want to go over to Florida and add that to the route. So I have to open up a line over here and add destination, and then that gives me a place for the next spot to be entered. I click on that and it gets entered into the route. Add destination. I'm just going to keep on doing this and click on that one. Add destination and click on that one. And I'll keep doing it.
I should have speeded it up.
But what happened? I still have more places to go, and there are no more spaces available. I can't add another space. That's because there is a limit for driving route layers. You can only have 10 destinations. So one of the limits of Google Maps is 10 layers, and in directions layers you can only have 10 destinations. But you can make a new layer. So I add a layer and tell it I want to draw a line of a driving route, and if I want it to continue, drawing a line of a driving route makes a new layer. So let me delete this one that I erroneously added. Delete this layer. Okay, so now I have a new one, and my destination A, I want to continue from my last destination, so I say Mount Rushmore. And then we're going to Wyoming, and then add destination, All right, I think you get the idea. But that may be more complex than you need. If you are just drawing this for memory's sake, maybe you don't really need the specific directions. You just want to draw a general line. So I'm going to delete these layers that I added over here by clicking on the three dots and delete this layer. Three dots is a menu, and delete this layer. So this time I'll say I want to draw a line, and I'll just make it a line. And I'll start from here, and then you just drag and click every place you want to change directions slightly. And this then is just one object for your map. All right, maybe I shouldn't go. And when you're done, you double click, and then you can give the line a name. Or I have found when I'm creating my real travels, I don't end up having any need for lines at all. Here's the map of our 2014 travels, and you can tell that we started in Miami because of the A, and then B, C, D, E. Do I really have a need? And then you click on a spot, and you see the pictures. For purposes of saving memories, I don't see a need for lines at all. But if you do want lines, you have two choices: a driving route or just a drawn line.
So hopefully that answered the lines question.
Other uses for maps. How about Ancestry? That's something that I've done a little bit because my grandfather came over from the old country in Croatia, or Austria-Hungary back in those days. So I plotted several stops along the way there, and that worked out really well. So he started in Croatia, he went to Le Havre, France, and he got on a ship and crossed the Atlantic, then went to Ellis Island in New York City, and then he went to Ohio and Philadelphia, where he met my grandmother, and the rest is history. It's really, really pretty cool, and you can put pictures in there and all kinds of stories. It's really pretty cool.
So I know a lot of people in the genealogy make their own website, a family blog, and having maps to go along with it. Pretty good.
And other special places you've been, like these are presidential museums, and we just visited another one just recently, right?
Yeah. So it doesn't have to be travels, it can just be places. So this is just a list of all the presidential museums that we have visited. Another use is for just dreaming. Somebody, and there's a link to it on this, gave a list of 50 places in the United States that you should see before you die.
All right.
And you can plot them all out and see what it looks like to take that trip. So these are just other ideas for how to use maps. Now this one is a really special idea, a reference. What if you just wanted a map? For example, I love hot springs, so maybe I just want a map of all the hot springs. Every time I find a listing of hot springs, I want to throw it on this map. Or this example is talking about points of interest. So where do you find these points of interest? This example is using Passport America. If you're an RVer, you know about this half-price campgrounds deal, and they are called Passport America, and you might want to have a list of them. So this is how you would do it.
Hi, this is Chris Guld with Geeks on Tour, and this show me video is about using Google My Maps and importing a POI dataset. POI stands for points of interest. First, you need to be able to find and get a POI dataset. There are several sources for them, but I am using a website called poifactory.com. You do need to create an account. It's free. And then I used their search field to get Passport America. That's a discount campground membership system that we belong to, and I want to get all of those parks into my map. So you click on download the CSV, because I'm not using a TomTom GPS device. I want just a text file, which is CSV. And an Excel program can open a CSV file. So let's go take a look at it. So I've opened Excel, and I need to go find the spreadsheet, the CSV file that I downloaded. And notice over here, you have to make sure that instead of Excel files, you're looking for text files. And there it is, POI Factory, Passport America. And here's what it looks like. The first two columns are the latitude and longitude, or vice versa, and we'll deal with that. And then the name of the park and the address and phone number. I'm going to start by using the same custom map, the same My Map that we used in the previous lesson, the one called Chris's Florida, and there are the markers that came in from our spreadsheet on RV parks in Florida. And notice there is no place now that says import. That's because it's a new layer. It needs to be a new layer. So you click on Add Layer. Now you see the import link. And select a file from your computer. I need to know where it is and what I called it. I started it with POI Factory and Passport America. All right, now it needs to know which columns include the data for locating it. Well, we need those first two columns, but then you need to specify which it is. Is it latitude or is it longitude? And I'm not sure, so I'm just going to pick one. I'm going to say the first one looks like latitude to me, and the second one looks like longitude. And if that's wrong, it'll be obvious and we can fix it. And continue, and then what column is the title of the park? It's that one. And I obviously did the latitude and longitude wrong, because I don't think these RV parks are in Antarctica. So what you do is you delete that layer, the three dots next to the layer name, and delete this layer, and delete it. Now we'd have to try that again. Add a layer, and import. Find the file. And see if I can remember which way I did it last time. Now, I said that looked like a latitude, so that was obviously wrong. That must be longitude. And continue. And the name of the park. And finish. And that looks better. They're all in the United States. Okay. Now, one more issue, though. I can't tell the difference between the markers that were for the parks that I imported from my Florida list or the Passport America. So I want the icon for the Passport America to be different. Now, I can go in here. If you hover your mouse over where it says All Items, and you see this little paint bucket, click on that and you'll get your options. Now, if it's okay with you, you can just change the shape and change the color. But I would like it to actually be the icon that represents Passport America. And to do that, I need to click on More Icons. And I want a custom icon. So here where Add an Icon, you need a URL for the actual icon. Well, back on the POI Factory, here is the icon. And all I need I could either download that and then, but it has to be on the web somewhere. So I'm just going to do a shortcut, right click on the icon and copy the image URL, the address on the web. Paste that into the place for the special icon. Click Add Icon and OK. Now you see that all of the data points that are Passport America have a little Passport America logo, and the ones that I had entered before still have the straight red marker. Notice also, what if I don't want to see them right now? I can just uncheck this little box over on the layer and all the Passport America parks go away. Anytime I want to see them, just check the box again. And that is how you import a data set, a POI set, into your custom map.
I see there was one question there about, can you import from a spreadsheet? So that answered that one. And there were a couple more questions. So yes, you can create your own Excel spreadsheet too and import it into a map. Can you link or save the maps in your genealogy account? A link, absolutely. Absolutely. These are just as shareable as anything else in your Google account. You'd have to, do a couple steps, and we do have another video on that.
Ready?
Well, do you want to ask them? Can we add locations for Costco and specific fast food places? Sure, if you can find such a list and it has either the address or the latitude, longitude. You don't need the lat-lon. An address works just fine. And here is an option. This is a specific example of a friend of ours. Once he learned how to make these maps, he shares with all his family and friends dynamically. I mean, as he's working the map. So you see those star markers, those are the places that he's planning to go. The red teardrops are the places that he's been. So if any family or friend wants to see where he is right now, they can click on those markers, and he has put in information about the dates, etc. So sharing is a wonderful use of these. What about on mobile? Well, Android does have a MyMaps app, but it's kind of worthless as far as I'm concerned. I mean, but you can open up a browser. So if you have a tablet, especially, so a little bit bigger screen, you open up the browser, you go to mymaps.google.com, and everything that you just saw here works there. Navigation, however, I want to demonstrate this just quickly. So here I am on my Samsung phone with Google Maps. How do I get that map of my 2019 summer tour? Well, you tap on this saved button down at the bottom, saved. There's all sorts of ways you can save places in Google Maps, but at the very bottom, there is maps. So these mean the MyMaps. There is that 29 back to school tour, and we're seeing the same markers now on my phone, kind of on top of Google Maps. And if I wanted to navigate to one of those, I would just find it. Like, let's say I want to go back to the Dayton Computer Club. I just tap on number 11 and get directions. Choose start location, and it gives me directions, and I can navigate. So it can be done. It's pretty clunky, however. So if it can be done. If you want to be able to navigate to markers that you have built using MyMaps, It can be done only one at a time. You can't navigate a route. Okay. I think we're just about done. I did leave time for questions. How about that?
Good. All right. We want to remind everybody to get our free monthly newsletter. You can follow that link there, or you can copy or just point your camera at that QR code, and it'll give you a place where you can sign up for our newsletters. Right? Did you learn something? The only requirement for making your map is to have what kind of account?
Google. A free Gmail Google account.
And you probably already have one. We recommend making your maps using Google
MyMaps.
Okay. True or false? All map markers are blue teardrop icons.
False. They start out that way, but you can change them and make them anything you want.
Markers can be visible or not based on groups called A, categories, B, layers, C, folders, or D, albums.
Layers. B.
In order to navigate to a marker in your map, you must A, have the MyMaps app, B, use Waze, C, it can't be done, or D, open your map within Google Maps app.
D.
True or false? You must use a computer to make or edit a map.
False, but highly recommended. So much easier.
Okay, and here's a reminder that all of the class materials for this seminar, as well as others, are available at geeksontour.com/classes. And the very top one right now is the 82121 for the seminar handout, which is a couple of pages you can print yourself or just view on a PDF. This slide deck is on there, and the list of tutorial videos that have to do with this particular subject. It's a great resource. So, other questions? Here we are. Make your own maps with Google MyMaps. Do we have any more?
Yes, there are some questions.
Oh, always questions, always questions.
All right, let's see. Can we add locations for Costco and specific fast food places?
You just need to find the list or create the list in an Excel spreadsheet.
Okay. Looks like we answered a couple there. Where can you find databases for various items such as specific hotel chains, restaurants, other places of interest?
POIfactory.com. POI, points of interest.
Okay. And given your advice, is there another app to use to navigate a route with many stops? How far away from each other? How long will it take? And all that other stuff.
Oh, there's so many. You know, that's a whole other seminar. But generally the way we navigate is just one day at a time. So we just navigate to
Today's destination.
today's destination.
Now we'll have a plan for multiple destinations, but that program does not actually do the navigation from point to point to point. There are some apps out there, and there are some GPS standalone devices that will do that for you too.
If I'm going to name just one, I would say Road Trippers.
Road Trippers.
Road Trippers is a great way to plan, and they're just coming out. It's brand new. Navigating.
Okay. Couple of process. Okay. Some issues. We'll be taking a river cruise. Can you make a map for the ports?
Absolutely.
That's a good use for this.
Absolutely. Yeah. I even have another video as to how to get the GPS to make a marker for your favorite fishing spot that's just out in the ocean somewhere. Or we did our dive sites. We're scuba divers.
Yeah. Somebody mentioned using OBS. The slides were hard to read, but in order to do all of this, we need to use something. And yes, the AC is running. It's hot here at the Jersey Shore and humid, and there's no way we could get around that. When we're in our studio at home, we don't have these issues. So How about avoiding areas with high COVID-19 infections?
I'm sure you can get a APOI for COVID-19 hotspots. I don't know of one, my offhand, but betcha.
There's probably a way to do it.
One quick thing before we run out of time, which we have. Do you have an app that you would recommend that could do planning a trip with many stops? Since you can make many stops with your MyMaps, but you said that's not good to navigate.
Road Trippers.
Roadtrippers.com. It's a website and
an app.
And it's a good tool for doing that kind of planning. There are others, but it happens to be our favorite right now.
Good.